Wednesday, April 1st, 2020. You're tuned in to the Too Fast podcast, where the future farmers and agricultural specialists are serving you the weekly scoop on the world. I'm your host, Kandeaux the Farm Plug. Today, we're going to talk about what do you do when you go to Wal-Mart and there is no food?
So we're going to start off. First question. Why you should know where your food comes from?
Why you should know where your food comes from? Because, multiple reasons, right? You want to know what you're eating, right? So just in terms of knowing the different types of varieties there are of different foods, you can learn more about the nutritional value of your food if you know where it comes from, the type of soil it's grown in, the practices that it was grown up with. All of these things contribute to the final product that you get in the end. So if you're interested in what that final product is and how it actually interacts with your body and what it's doing for your body, then you would really want to know where your food comes from.
In relation to what do you do when there's no food at Walmart, and knowing where your food comes from, actually, instead of thinking, like some kids have said with some of the extension work, that they believe their food actually comes from a store, like McDonald's, Burger King, Walmart, Publix.
Yeah, communities suffer when there's a huge gap between the how and the what, So if you don't know how all these things happen to you in your life, but you know what's happening to you, then you just kind of become the victim of circumstance instead of being able to say, well, oh, I have control over my community. I have sovereignty over what I'm putting into my body every day. So these little freedoms, they start on individual levels. And so when you know where your food comes from, not only do you know what you're eating, how it was raised and how it was grown, but you also know where you can go to get it. And it can be food that's good for you, not actually, that's killing you or taking time away from the quality of your life.
Going on right now is panic grocery shopping at Walmart, Publix, etc. What is your opinion on the problem with panic shopping?
Well, for one, right, it's a all of these issues have multiple problems attached to them, right? So when you have panic shopping, for one, what it does to the stock market is a total shock. Two, people who need food won't be able to get it. So for example, today is the first of the month, right? You got people who have food stamps and have to go to places where groceries cost less. And if they go to these places and there's no food there for them, then they have to immediately be able to have a farmer's market or something equivalent to that, where they can, I guess, maybe use their benefits and be able to get food, because everybody doesn't accept benefits. And if they do accept the SNAP, and there's no food left, that's kind of not fair. So it puts people in a box, and it's just really inconsiderate on a basic level. It's inconsiderate. And in a time where we need each other, where we should be dependent on each other and strengthening each other, and just not being compassionate is not productive, and it's counterproductive to a person who thinks that they're going, like, you going in the grocery store and hoarding a bunch of things, you think that's productive for you. But when there are people who need those things, and in the most dramatic and worst case scenario, now they're breaking in your house to get it, opposed to y'all being able to share it and ration things out, in a worst case scenario, it just makes it's not community. It's not what you need right now. It's counterproductive.
You're real good in the community working with people. What are some of the strong food resources other than the normal ones that you have come across with your work in the community?
So what are you saying is normal? What does normal mean?
What's the normal? Fast food is, I guess, the super norm for everybody.
Okay. Well, recently, especially after working with Urban Growers Collective this summer in Chicago, and also the work that Tuskegee is doing with the TUAIC, the Innovative Urban Ag Center. Vacant lots is it's a gold mine in especially Black and brown communities, and a lot of times they can be eyesores, but they're really potential places to grow food at. And if you know what you're doing, and if you have proper relationships, you can not only grow food, but you can manage food. And so those are two different things. It's one thing to grow seed, to throw some seeds out there. It's another thing to weed every day, water every day, make sure that you're pruning, making sure that the plants are getting the proper care that they need. So that's like going back to, the first question, knowing where your food comes from, being a good steward over what you have the power to control. So definitely vacant lots, vacant lots, vacant lots. And interestingly enough, in a lot of major cities, this has been a conversation that is ongoing. So yeah, yeah, vacant lots. That I would say that's the number one resource that every community may have. And even if you don't have vacant lots, there's rooftops. There are other growing methods that allow you to grow vertically. There are different like greenhouses where you can grow more intensively and get a higher production, like you get more from less amount of space. So yeah, there are different options.
Should people still be eating fast foods? Why or why not? You should continue. What do you think about people still going out there in public? Posts have been slowing down more, eating more at the house, staying at the house more to prevent um, passing or spreading the virus. But some people still, fast food restaurants still open because they're considered essential for
Mm.
the community, I guess. So, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that's interesting, right? The fact that fast foods are conveniently placed and actually in a lot of cases preferred over options for fresh fruits and vegetables and quality just quality food. um yeah, I think that's interesting, and I'm not going to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do, but I do think this is a good time to maybe stay home with your family and reflect on the urban planning and the shape of your community. Like really take a community assessment and take a step back and look at what resources does your community have. During a project in Chicago this past summer, we were planting food. Well, not food. We weren't planting food. We were planting sunflowers and tulips in vacant lots in residentially zoned areas in Chicago South and West Sides. And we noticed that the further west we go and the higher concentration of people of color, the higher that concentration, that the less access to water the people had in terms of like fire hydrants and things. So there were like no fire hydrants and things that were pretty much working all the way on the west side of Chicago. And these are people that, if emergency happens, like what are people supposed to do? And I think kind of eating fast food, especially right now, is playing into a bigger issue that even when this COVID-19 situation comes to a close, we'll still have to ask ourselves, how come we have more fast food restaurants than options for fresh food? How come we have more options for things that ultimately make me unhealthy and unwell and are resulting in higher medical bills than things that can keep me here longer with my family? That the time that I do have here with my family, it can be quality time spent over a home cooked meal at home, where we, do whatever we do and we have traditions and we can practice our culture. And all of this comes from eating at home and spending time with your family at dinner time, And so we have to I think we should, I don't want to say should, but I think it would be really interesting if we took this time out to kind of really sit down and to socially distance ourselves from things that are outside of ourselves, that aren't our family, that aren't immediately important for our well-being. And wellness is more than just financial wellness, right? It's physical, mental, spiritual, if you swing that way, so just a wholehearted and a holistic approach to being okay and to being good, because as a society, we clearly see that we're not. So as individuals, we have to sit down and ask ourselves, how am I contributing to this mass pandemic of unwellness? You know? The relationship between the United States government and its people right now, if you was to look at food, that's scary. And we're supposed to be the most developed, most what's the word I'm looking for? Civilized, most prepared country in the world, and we're out here telling people what to do, but we got more jails, we got more beds in jail cells than we do in hospitals, and that's scary. And it sends a message, and it's telling us exactly what we think, you know. So, a recap of last week. Prisoners across U.S. will be confined for 14 days to cut coronavirus spread. I definitely just touched on that. I think we kind of know how I feel about jail cells. I'm not saying everybody needs to be let out, but we got to figure out a way better way to. Our justice system is messed up, period. I'm over that. Chicago Public Health Commissioner, we want to be ahead of this. I'm actually really proud of Chicago and the way that they are addressing this situation. I think Lori Lightfoot is doing her thing. And to be the first Black African-American female and gay mayor, all eyes are really on her right now. So the way that she responds is pivotal, and it is critical. And I think she is doing an awesome job. I've seen some videos of her washing her hands, and it was pretty funny. And it was beautiful to see as well. The race to make ventilators, masks, vaccines, and how the stock market plays a role. Oh yeah, I touched on that too. Pretty much, I just think it's important for people to understand. Even if you get these things, again, if you hoard, you're taking away things from the medical professionals that are trying to stop this from happening. So you think you important and all. I mean, your job is not as important as the people that's trying to stop this right now. So humble yourself, put the mask back on the shelf, baby, and just go home. Walmart to start checking workers' temperatures. I mean, yeah, I think if Walmart wanted to actually be ahead of this problem, they would give their workers a better pay and actually give them health insurance. So, I mean, if you can afford to check every single employee when they come in, maybe you should be able to afford them getting physicals every year. Dolly Parton will read bedtime stories to kids online every week. That's dope. Yeah, we always love reading, right? Cool. LA County Sheriff will no longer order closure of firearms shops. Okay, that's deep. Wonder what brought that change about. But I think that society finds a natural equilibrium. So in a weird way, we're gonna figure out a way to cope with this social distancing and buy the things that people need, especially when people start panicking, like guns.
Hold on. This was the weirdest. That was the weirdest one to me. How important we hold fire guns, like on the pedestal of life. Is guns that high?
I mean, it is that high when everybody else got one and you don't, and they want what you got, which is how people are thinking. That's the panic energy that's circulating around right now. So it's to the point where you rather have it than to not because of what you gonna do, but because of what someone else may do. And I fully understand that. I think Black people, we should have had guns long ago, but that's another conversation. Yeah. So in the next few interviews, we will have. We're going to be going in deeper to the COVID-19 situation. So we're looking at a 3-part series. The first part will be looking at the science and understanding the public and community health aspect. So going a little bit deeper about what actually is COVID-19, what separates it from the flu, what makes it different, and why is this situation a little bit more serious than what a lot of people initially thought. The second part of this series will be from the student perspectives, right? Because this is right during the time of spring break. A lot of students will be graduating, and their graduation, these are life moments that people are missing out on. So we get to hear from the students and maybe even come up with some innovative solutions about how we can move forward. And finally, the third part of the series will be the role of the cooperative extension system and other organizations in healing and community resilience. And I think that one really speaks for itself. So really, really, really looking forward to you guys staying tuned and seeing what we got to talk about.